For 6 years, the Times Now Summit has gone beyond capturing India's rise. It has helped shape what comes next. As Times Now marks 20 years of credible, accountable journalism, the focus is not just on the journey so far, but on the road ahead. Because today, India is not just rising, it is leading. From digital innovation to global influence, the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 is already taking shape. And the question now is clear. Not whether India will rise, but how it will lead. At the Times Now Summit, the country's most influential voices come together to define that path. And that brings us to this year's theme, celebrating Times Now at 20, shaping India at 100.
At the helm of Times Now's journey is a leader who has consistently backed bold journalism and decisive storytelling. And to lay out the vision for this year's summit, we are honored to have with us the Managing Director of the Times Group, Mr. Viksit Jain. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage to officially welcome our distinguished gathering and deliver the theme address.
A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
In the years ahead, self-reliance must go far beyond manufacturing and extend to the commanding heights of the 21st century. India must build self-reliance in artificial intelligence because AI will shape productivity, security, knowledge, and power. India must build sovereignty in data because the nations that own, govern, and ethically deploy data will shape the architecture of the future. India must build self-reliance in education because no nation can aspire to leadership if it continues to import capabilities while underinvesting in its own human capital. India must build self-reliance in defense because strategic autonomy is only credible when backed by indigenous strength. India must build self-reliance in energy because no nation can claim sovereignty if the fuel of its economy remains hostage to foreign supply chains and the volatility of energy markets. India must build self-reliance in critical minerals because the green transition, technology revolution, and high-tech defense capabilities will be won or lost on access to the materials that power them. India must build self-reliance in critical technologies because the nations that design, manufacture, and control the foundational systems of the modern world will set the terms on which all others must operate. And India must build self-reliance in the realm of digital platforms and social media because the global conversation of the future cannot be mediated entirely through systems designed and controlled elsewhere. These are not separate ambitions. They are part of one larger national imperative to ensure that India is not merely a large market in the global order, but a rule shaper, an innovation leader, a producer of ideas, technologies, and institutions. For decades, India was described as a country of immense potential. But potential by itself does not change history. Reform does. Execution does. Bold institution building does. And sustained national focus does. That is why this decade matters so profoundly. Because India has a window of opportunity that will not remain open forever. We must quite simply grow rich before we grow old. This is not merely an economic argument. It is a civilizational urgency. India must use its demographic advantage while it still has it to create wealth, to expand jobs, to deepen skills, to raise productivity, and to build social systems strong enough to support future generations. The ambition of becoming a developed nation by 2047 will require hard choices, second-generation reforms, more competitive institutions, a stronger innovation culture, faster urban transformation, greater investment in research, and a public discourse that rewards long-term thinking, not just short-term reaction. That is why the Times Now Summit matters, because shaping India at 100 is not the responsibility of only the government or the industry or citizens alone. It is a shared national project. The role of a platform like Times Now, therefore, must also evolve with the times. Not only to report where India stands, but to ask where India must go next. Not only to question power, but to elevate the quality of national purpose. And may I say, not merely to echo words, but to provide solutions and make this into a collective and collaborative national mission. As we open this summit today, this is the spirit in which we gather. Not simply to celebrate past achievements, but to address responsibilities that will shape India's future. Not just to acknowledge how far India has come, but to define how far India must still go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the Times Now Summit, as we turn our attention to the defining question of our age. How do we shape India at 100? Thank you.
I'd now like to invite the Group Editor-in-Chief, Times Now and Times Now Bharat, Navika Kumar, for a fireside chat with the Honourable Minister on strengthening the world's largest democracy.
A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
My pleasure to welcome Parliamentary Affairs and Minority Affairs Minister, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, for the Times Now Summit. And what better than Parliament to really inaugurate how India is thinking, behaving, and charting its way forward. Mr. Kiran Rijiju, let me begin with the all-party meeting held yesterday. We are in the middle of a war. The situation in West Asia is what the meeting was all about. I want to ask you, how comfortable was the meeting? And did you manage to answer all the questions the opposition had?
Well, in parliamentary democracy, meeting of different minds is very critical. And in our parliamentary democracy, we have considerable political parties with different political ideology and agendas. So all party meeting is always very conflicting, yet it's a converging in many things when it comes to national interests. I must tell you honestly, the all-party meeting was very satisfying for me personally, because what we hear outside in the Parliament House or in the streets, wherever we hear from political leaders, it's always critical of each other. But the all-party meeting, especially which we had called, we convened a meeting yesterday, all the opposition parties had a reasonable queries and concerns, and I feel that the government had adequately addressed those points raised by the opposition leaders, and also they were satisfied. So at the end of the day, I had given a brief statement also that it seems that all the leaders were satisfied, because at the end of the meeting, it was a long marathon meeting, at the end of the meeting they said the entire opposition party will stand with the government in the critical juncture when there is a war in very close neighborhood in the Middle East, is not very far away, and also the war has a direct impact on the lives of so many Indians and also on our economy. So I can say that the meeting was quite productive, and personally I'm satisfied.
Mr. Rijiju, you say you're satisfied, but there were parties that did not attend, like the Trinamool Congress. The leader of opposition from both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha were not present. Many of them said that so far there have been statements from the government, but no debate and discussion in Parliament. And the reason some of the parties didn't attend the all-party meeting is because they don't want to express their concerns in a closed conference room, but they want to make their point heard on the floor of the House. What were the reservations of the government in holding a discussion in Parliament for the country to see?
No, there was no reservation as such, because Prime Minister has already given the statement on the floor of both the houses, and this is a budget session, and during budget discussion and during the finance bill also, most of the opposition leaders, if you have heard them speaking, they raised this issue of LPG, petroleum products, fertilizers, and the impact of the West Asia crisis. These are thoroughly being raised by the opposition parties, and to converge all this concern, we called all-party meeting. I had personally sent messages, talked to them, and the leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, he was scheduled to address some meeting in Kerala, he told me, but he has nominated Mukul Wasnik, who was a minister and a senior member of the Congress party. Then Mr. Rahul Gandhi, I'm told that personally, the senior leader came to me, told that he is with his mother, Sonia Gandhiji, who is not keeping well, admitted in a hospital. And then they nominated Mr. Tariq Anwar, who is a very senior member of the Congress party. And barring Trinamool Congress, all parties attended. So I don't see that it was underrepresented or boycotted. Except for Trinamool Congress, I told them you must attend. They said they have decided not to attend. Maybe a political stunt, maybe their leader, the Chief Minister of West Bengal, told them not to attend, not to be seen to be part of any decision or any agreement which will be good for the country. So I don't appreciate such attitude, but well, other than TMC, everybody attended.
Mr. Kiran Rijiju, do you see yourself as a bridge builder as the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, or do you see yourself as somebody who has to deal with confrontation day after day, hour after hour?
Well, that is a part of my job. I have learned from my predecessors also, especially from my party, from late Pramod Mahajanji, late Sushma Swarajji, or more recently Venkaiah Naiduji, who were Parliamentary Affairs Minister from our party. we have always reached out to the opposition parties. We believe in collective responsibility. From the day one, when I was given the charge of parliamentary affairs, the first thing I did was to pay a visit to the leader of opposition's residence. And from the very beginning, we started on a very positive note. There was not a single occasion where I failed to reach out to them. Now, it is up to them. I can't just drag them to a negotiating table, but I've always reached out to them. And I must honestly admit that outside parliamentary, whatever confrontation which happens, they were quite receptive. And our discussions are quite okay, except when we don't agree on certain points. But
Which are many.
Yes, because they choose to disagree on many.
But that's the right of the opposition. You did the same when you were in opposition. Why grudge them that now?
There is a difference. We said opposition can do many things through various instruments which we have in a parliamentary democracy. You can raise your voice, you can shout slogans, you can use various rules, but we never went to the extent of the disruption which the present opposition parties are doing it. However, I always make it sure that in the very difficult situation also, we don't break the bridge. We always have a bridge to cross over to each other and have our point of views.
I want to ask you, have you been able to change Mr. Rahul Gandhi's mind, who has been saying the Prime Minister is compromised, Narendra surrender, and who has said that his foreign policy is his personal policy, not the policy of the country? Have you been able to change his mind?
I think I cannot change leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi's mind, because he is running with an agenda and he is guided by his set of people who are non-governmental organizations who are influencing his conduct. So those people who are guiding him do not understand the etiquettes of the parliament and the constitution. So since they have a priority in their mind to ensure that Mr. Rahul Gandhi carries out his conduct in certain manner, which will create disruptions, which will create chaos, which will maybe get around like-minded people, the section of people in the society. So whatever the country has achieved, he is targeting that. Whatever is a strong point of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is exactly telling opposite of that. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the most decisive leader India has ever seen. And he is trying to demolish that by saying Prime Minister is weak or compromise, all this very light word like surrender and all. Then Prime Minister has reached out to the people who are at the lowest strata of the society. Then he is saying that, oh, Prime Minister is not caring the poor people. Then Prime Minister has done maximum for the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, OBCs, and he is saying that he is standing for this section of the society. Then Prime Minister is occupying a stature which no other Indian leader in the past have occupied, with a global voice, one of the senior most elected leader in the world today, who is highly respected across the globe. And that is where Rahul Gandhi is saying exactly the opposite to that. So slowly he's losing his own credibility. When you speak things which are not true, you can only get applause from your echo chamber, but people won't accept it. So in our country, I feel that there is a good numbers of opposition parties with the support from large numbers of people in the society. They will always applaud anybody who ever speaks against the government. So it is not that Rahul Gandhi is getting support from some section of the society. Anybody who would speak against the government will always get the support of the section of society. That is what democracy is all about. So I feel that instead of Rahul Gandhi, if somebody else who is more effective in performing as a leader of opposition, that would have been better for the nation, because the opposition leader is expected to be more mature. Rahul Gandhi is not mature.
You've already openly expressed your desire that Priyanka Gandhi would have been probably better as a leader of opposition. Do you want to make that decision for them? And why do you say so?
There is a comparative statement, very limited to who would replace Rahul Gandhi better amongst the family. Congress is a family party. I know very well nobody else can replace Rahul Gandhi other than his sister. So it was a comparison between brother and sister. I'm not saying anybody else. So in that limited context, I said, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra at least sits in the house and listens to the speeches, but Rahul Gandhi never listens. He doesn't sit in the house. He comes, speaks, and he runs away. Only to the limited point I made that remark, because of his conduct.
We do hope, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, that parliamentary democracy remains robust, remains healthy, as India charts its way forward. Times now is 20 years, but we as a nation are looking at India at 100. We do hope we see a more constructive approach to taking the democracy forward.
Thank you very much. And as I stated in the very beginning, I am very personally very happy that Times Now has a very successful journey of 2 decades. And I know when Times Now was born in 2006, with a humble beginning, a reporter came to the parliament with the Times Now, this logo, and one of the Congress MP was there, and she was asking that, what is this, who are you, which news channel is this, I've never heard, where are you from? She was basically ridiculing the Times Now reporter, and I'm very happy that Times Now has grown leaps and bounds, and today I can say that Times Now has the power to create impact in the minds of the people with very hardcore, sharp news. So it is not only you are providing news, but you are engaging the viewers, you are engaging the citizens, thereby taking people's consent in your news journey, getting their views, and also engaging with all sections of the society. I think Times Now is truly a successful journey you had, and I wish the Times Now a great success with a great future, and good for our democracy that we have a very vibrant media in India, and Times Now is leading a vibrant media in India.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, for those very kind words. A huge round of applause. Early morning, we can do better than that, audience. Thank you, Mr. Rijiju.